Namaste and welcome to this series called Men's Mental Health, and we are doing the third in the series till now. So till now we have had discussions on beginning on the 19th of November, which is Men's Mental Health Day, and we spoke about the burdens of patriarchy, where we identified this entire label of man up has so much of load on a person's psyche that it causes a lot of mental health issues. And we discussed a lot on the kind of behaviors which are expected from men and how that causes a stress for them. We followed that up with the next one, in which the entire discussion was all about leadership and redefining masculinity the way we understood. So we spoke about, and I still remember Colonel Shrini was also there with us on that panel, and he spoke about how we need to drive culture from the top because revolutions start from the bottom. It's not culture. So we spoke a lot of things about what leadership behavior needs to be like. And those of you who are interested, you should definitely go and check us out either on the YouTube page that we have, or probably on the Sthir LinkedIn page itself. So today we are taking the discussion forward now. And this time we're going to talk and discuss about the content of the work and how it causes a lot of stress and that impacts men's mental health a lot. And you would know that Sthir has a workplace wellbeing bulletin, which we publish every week. And week after week, there have been instances of self-harm, violence, which are increasing. For example, there's been a case in Pune, there's been a case in Noida, where two colleagues have had an altercation and one of them has actually gone and beaten the other person out or found ways to actually harm the person. Then there have been suicides happening at the workplaces, which families are attributing to workplace stress. We do not know what the real reasons are, but that's what the usual, the entire climate has become like around when we speak about men's mental health. So I think it's a very, very important conversation to have. And today we have very, I would say, qualified people to comment on this, because this has been, as we say, the elephant in the room, which we are not discussing, and we need to talk about more and more. So with me, I have Deepa Bhalerao. She heads the entire mental health practice for Sthir, and you've heard her before opining about the subject earlier. So welcome, Deepa, and thank you for joining us here. You've also met Colonel Shrini. Colonel Shrini is a long collaborator of Sthir, and he has been on the earlier two panels where we have discussed this at length. Colonel Shrini is an army veteran. He's been at the workplace, dealt with young people, and that's how he has forged his new career in career counseling. And therefore, he meets a lot of young men, because we're talking about men today, about struggles with their careers. So he knows actually what's going on in the minds of these people. And last but not the least, we have Nitul Ojha, now a very good friend and somebody who is a talent coach. Nitul has conversations with people to help them realize what their talents are. He'll talk more about it, because if in case we do not do things which are in sync with our talent, obviously we are going to be miserable people. That's like a no-brainer. But the question here lies, how do we understand what our talent is? What are the conversations that we need to have? So those are the things that Nitul will bring to the table today. So this is the longest that I have spoken, and I'll promise I'll not speak this much at all going ahead. So let me kick the discussion off by first asking Deepa, because she's been spearheading the entire movement for us over here, to set the context as to why it becomes very important for us to talk about men's mental health, because, and since we specialize in workplace well-being, what does the workplace and the content of the job that a person is doing impact, and therefore needs to be spoken about in terms of men's mental health? Deepa.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope I can be heard properly. Yes. Okay, the reason, first of all, right on the tails of Women's Day, which has been with much fanfare, we bring up this, and I think the timing couldn't be better, because while a lot of song and dance is made about Women's Day, and which is required, which is absolutely required, because if we see the numbers, there's still, much to worry about. It also shows us that men's mental health is something which is not really discussed on platforms. And that's the reason why it becomes all the more important for us to discuss that issue here. As you said rightly, Swapna, the elephant in the room. Because we are quite used to seeing women's health issues, children's health issues, adolescents issues. Somewhere the men's mental health part is missing. And the workplace is one space which is somehow identified with men, because even today, as we can see, our society, we are going towards a kind of change where women are stepping up and more women are joining the workforce. But the workplace has been the space for men mostly, and it continues to be so, because in most families, and I think very few numbers you would be able to say that are not men-led families. So the main major bread earner is the man in most families. So their relationship with the workplace is very important, very crucial, and very primary. So somehow, the last few months have seen some very alarming statistics come to us through news, through surveys. So I'm going to just take a little look at that, and then I'm going to contextualize it as to what does it have to do with the workplace. Okay, first of all, and this may come as a surprise to many people, I'm going to talk about the National Crime Bureau's Statistics 2021, because those are the latest that we have. And here we hear that men account for a high percentage of suicide victims in India, okay, as compared to women. And with the NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau, saying that 2021, in 2021, up to 2021, men made up to 72.5% of all suicide cases, okay, out of 100, which is a huge number. Now, there is a significant gender gap, and we wonder why. So if you look at 2021, it says 73,900 more men than women died by suicide, highlighting a stark difference across various age groups and social statuses. Okay, this is across age groups and social statuses. So this is another worrying point. Then the next point which comes to mind, and I am going to connect it with what we are discussing today, because people will wonder, why am I suddenly speaking about this? So there is a rise in suicide among men aged 18 to 59, which is actually the young adults to retirement age. And these are actually, this is an important point, because 18 to 59 is the working age men. And why are they contemplating such a final decision about their lives is something we need to figure out. Also, if you look at the other, and I don't want to go into names of studies, but we know that most women report mental health issues. Go to psychiatrists or people who work in the area of mental health and research, they will tell you that more women self-report mental health issues, and they seek more. The health-seeking behavior for mental health is much higher. And yet, if the prevalence of mental disorders in women is high, then why is such a high suicide rate seen in men? Okay. Now, why suicide? Because that is the last point, beyond which there is nothing left to do in the whole area of mental health. And this is where it becomes worrying, because it is a step that a person takes when they feel that there is nothing else that is going to work out. Why do our men, more and more men, why are they reaching this state? Why are they going to a point where they feel that it's a dead end and all they can do to resolve this is kill themselves? Okay. Now, this is a question which we need to ask. And there are some speculations or maybe thoughts coming from experts, and I will go into those. These are points for our audience to ponder about. There is a huge disparity, and the disparity comes from traditional social norms. Okay, our social norms are very, very hard on men, and I remember speaking about this in our first session about patriarchy, the burden of patriarchy. Our society encourages men to suppress emotions, and it makes it very hard for them to seek help or even express vulnerability. Okay, we all know about people making fun of somebody who cries like a girl, who is too expressive, who's too sensitive, whatever that means. The other thing is, and this is backed by research, that when there is a mental health issue, women are more likely to internalize it. Okay, they're likely to become sleepless, sad, unhappy, develop eating disorders. But men will externalize their struggles, and by externalizing, I mean what they do is shows up as aggression. It shows up as substance abuse or alcohol abuse or suicide, which says something that instead of seeking help, they lean towards things which help them cope. So this is not a very good, this is not desirable, but it's happening. Mm-hmm. Is that men, and this is something which psychiatrists say, and this is often said by mental health professionals that men struggle to recognize mental health issues themselves because they do not have the language and they have never been taught how to express feelings. Okay, so if there is depression, it may manifest very differently in men than in women. Classically, in depression, you will find most people and women say that they have sleep issues, appetite issues, irritability, anger, etc. But for men, they will show mostly anger, mostly irritability, and substance abuse. So every substance abuse situation may be a call for help and maybe a person actually trying to cope with depression without knowing the words for it. And the other thing is that while women help from peers, from friends, from maybe mental health professionals or medical professionals, men will, they will internalize it and they will not speak about it. So they will bottle up. And of course, that comes out as anger and other things. Men do also have too much of access to mental health care because mental health care is not talked about anywhere. We speak about students having issues, domestic violence issues, and so many other things for women, but we do not have a place where men can uh, find a safe space and speak about their feelings. This can have a huge impact because this is a barrier now. Therapeutic approaches do not talk too much about men because somehow we feel they are managing. And yet, the helpline started by the government, forget the name, Kiran or something it is called, 80 to 90% of calls were from men. And this was during COVID times. Men were losing jobs, men were unable to sustain families, men were unable to manage their feelings. They were having anger bouts, they were having feelings where they felt suicidal or depressed. 80 to 90% of regular calls from men. Okay, this is not this is something to take note of. This is also something which has come into the news. Now, this is your situation. And when you look at, if you see extrapolating from suicide, what I said, I was looking at the mental health statistics. Now let us look at the work. What is happening in workplaces? Men are at workplaces. They are by default the primary bread earners. There is no choice that a man has. You can try, if I give you a situation to explain this, that if a young man comes and says, I would like to study, but maybe first few years of my life, I would like to do housekeeping when my wife works. This kind of conversation, I do not think anyone is going to entertain. The parents, friends, no, they'll say, what's wrong with you? We also know that, so not earning is not an option. And then when men do start earning, most of the financial burden can come on them. And then we have the society, you see the ads and all telling you that the women know best about everything. So the women are primed up there. And then for every celebration, there is some hint given to men, which is direct or indirect. For example, the diamond the diamond jewelry, for example. If you love your wife, you'll get a diamond ring. I know for sure, and this is not here, I'm not sure about any study, but in the US, there are studies which tell you that young men are really stretched to get the engagement rings, which could be up to 6 times their monthly salary. Now, these are the kind of pressures that men take on, and they are not supposed to complain. Where would they complain to? Now, in the workplace, all these things come together. The workplace is where the men spend, and also all of us who go to formal work, spend 8 to 10 hours. They do not have any space to express. Workloads are increasing. They were never less. At any point of time, the work was always more than the time given to you. Then there are what you call toxicity in workplaces. There is intense competition. There is internal hierarchy. There are people, a lot of the phone calls that come on our helplines talk to us about not knowing what to do because their colleagues are not cooperative, that the manager has no time to listen to them. And these are real things. When they go higher up, they become lonelier and lonelier. We have had heads of organizations calling up saying things like, I think my marriage is falling apart. And after we speak to them, we realize the reason is that these people are practically living in office. Okay, that's the kind of workplace stress that comes in. You realize that, okay, why is the marriage falling apart? Clearly, the man is not home at all. And then things at home go haywire. So just to give an example. So this is the background scenario. And
Yeah. Well,
it
I
is
think
epidemic, silent epidemic is what I
so I think most of the things that, if I were to sum up, you say that the situation, the way it is causing a lot of burden onto the minds of men. And because of the way patriarchy has been, men are kind of socialized to believe that they shouldn't be asking for help. And in our second part, we had discussed about what does leadership behavior should be like to actually encourage men to. So I think those were grounds that we covered in the last two episodes also when we did that, and you've rightly highlighted all of that right now. So the World Health Organization says that the workplace should be the primary site for health promotion because people spend about 60 to 70% of their working hours at the workplace. So the workplace has to become that place where we talk about it. So Kanishini, I'd like to ask you, you've worked over several decades now, right? And there is this workplace toxicity has become like a term often overused right now. I would want to ask you that, tell me, what is called toxic today, has it been an inordinate rise in that, or has it been building up for a long time over the years? Tell us about that.
Swapna, thank you. See, the word toxicity probably, vocabulary keeps adding up. I think it was always toxic. Let's be fine. We have very hard bosses. We have very over competitive, peers. We have subordinates who don't, pull the cart along with you when you need it. So all this is all the different causes. Okay, were we the sole breadwinners? Well, yes, we were the sole breadwinners. Uh, were we told don't cry? It's not a good thing for a boy to do. Yes, we were told
What
40 years.
Paranshri was saying is that yes, it used to be earlier also. Men would be
Yeah.
called, don't cry.
So I think can you hear me? I think I'll okay.
Yes.
So now the point which was there was I think there was certain things which were there earlier which have now started falling apart now. That is why this particular word has surfaced, is what I feel. Okay. The reason why I'm saying this is because today, when I think about my armed forces life and my corporate life, and then I say, what could be the reason why this is happening? I was facing this. Why did I not feel it so strongly? Did I not feel it? Yes, I did. But it was never talked about. Maybe there were a lot of other causes which were always washed away. Let us take one thing, our yardsticks for success at that time. For example, right, was external validation was there then. It is there today. Can you hear me? I think I've lost you again. Swapna, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. See, the social media was not there at that time. Now, today, because of that, what is happening is everyone looks outward to look for advice. They look for what we call as echo chambers, okay? Where I only want to hear what I want to hear and not advise what I should be hearing. That is a big problem. So the idea, what I personally felt was that there were a lot of other things which managed to keep us insulated, probably.
True.
The word, which protected us from being impacted by toxicity. What was, Deepa said was the symptoms of toxicity. What is happening after and it doesn't start on day one. The day moment I join, it doesn't start. It builds up slowly, overwork, slowly long hours, slowly getting isolated, slowly feeling helpless, slowly being overlooked, feeling undervalued. So many things. This is all happening over the time. But why do I feel that is what I think we need to address today from the very beginning so that it doesn't reach a stage where what Deepa is saying happens.
Do that.
Why?
So, yes, absolutely. So I remember, Nitul, when we were having a conversation, you mentioned about the number of choices that you had when you were a young man versus what it is right now. And that itself can be a cause for stress. right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you think, that has the way the society evolved also given reasons for people to be more stressed out than what it was earlier?
Oh, yes. As a talent coach, I speak to a lot of people, and sometimes I call myself the lost and found artist. So a lot of people come to me when they're in a certain space. And something striking has shown up for me. And one of that is there are a couple of myths which have been propagated now at workplace. And one major myth is that everyone can be everything. So if we work hard, you can do whatever you put your mind to, which is a real fallacy. And research has shown that you really can't do everything. If I put my 10,000 hours, which is a very popular myth which is being floated around, I can become a world-class piano player. I can't. So there is this whole thing that there has to be some soil of talent. And if we pick up goals and roles and which are not in alignment with our talents, you're going to have massive stress, Swapna. So
Yeah.
like everybody wants to become a startup founder right now, do you have so that's where the talent comes in. I may not have that mix with me. And that's why we have so many failures. So that's one. And there are very popular myths. For example, if you remember the Raymond's ad, do you remember the tagline? It's the complete man.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very that kind of sums it all. So if you remember the ad, he can fly, he loves his parents, he loves his children, he's a owner of a company, and he also knows how to fly a jet. So look at what is the myth we are propagating. But actually, talents are, so humans are not complete. We are very good at something and we are very bad at something. So if we make a choice to work around what we are good at and what comes naturally to us, which we define as talents, and if we do that, life will become much easier, much less stressful. And Gallup research uh, proves that if you work with your talents, your well-being is taken care of.
So, Kanishini, when people come to you for career counseling, how many people have actually come and told you that they are successful, but they're not happy?
That's a nice one. Earlier, I used to have more students. Now, actually, I have started getting more professionals coming to me for career counseling. The biggest thing, which the reason why I started Life Compass 2020 was also this, because a lot of my colleagues, young colleagues, used to say, Shini sir, काम में मजा नहीं आ रहा. I used to wonder, काम में मजा क्यों नहीं आ रहा उनको? Why are they not feeling happy? Because I realized that they were they didn't know what they really wanted. Because everyone said retail is the sunrise industry 20 years back, or AI, ML. Every child, every parent wants to make their child into this. Whether they can fit into it, like what Nitul said, or not, has got no meaning, right? Now, and once they get in, they do not know what are their actual career anchors. What is the meaning to their work? What do I really want? Is it money? Is it stability? Is it a great company? Is it relationships? Do I want learning? Do I want growth? There are 100 things by which you should anchor yourself. They have no anchor. I want the best boss in the best company with the best salary, with the best working environment closest to my home, and I can work from home also. You can't get all that. You can get, so there is some kind of things that you leave to get something else, right? And then what happens once they flow into this after about 4, 5, 6 years, there is a sense of they don't know how to get out. You got into the rabbit hole. Now you don't know how to, because suddenly responsibilities, certain various positions in society, so many things that Deepa also spoke. Oh, you are working in that. Why are you leaving? It's a toxic workplace, but I can't leave because I'm working there. It is a toxic workplace, but because I get that salary, I can't leave. These are the reasons why they feel stuck. And
I
so
get you.
then the covering of contentment. No, yeah, I'm content with this. Yes, this is a thing which I really found. What is this contentment itself is very slowly that contentment is more of a compromise than contentment. Then slowly that leads to complacence. Complacence will immediately show in their work. The moment that becomes it also is a result of getting into a comfort zone. I'm using all the C's. It's okay, but it just worked out like that. And then in the end, I still remember when I was just talking to Nitul yesterday, he said, obviously the workplace will become claustrophobic because I'm not enjoying anything. And by then I've gone a long way and I've not sought any kind of help. I have no support because most of the time when I'm rushing in the speed of life, I want to push everyone away from my path because I'm wanting to go too fast. And suddenly they are all caught up and they're going past you, but they are not going to look at you because you pushed them away at that time. So maybe that support system is not there.
Very true.
In addition, what I feel is that I think thanks to the hyper connectedness of this whole world, too many options. That is what they say. Sir, I think I can become a content writer, but I am also a great software developer. When you asked me about people who come to me, because somebody has told them content writing is the next big thing. Are you good at it? Not that. So you go to Google or something like that and find out what can you be. So instead of specialists, they look at something like that. So too many options, information overload, all this gives them multiple ideas. So in the end, I feel sad that they are confused. They need to know what they really want. Once they get into that, once they can anchor themselves with this, you'll find that they will start feeling like as if they are in a safe place. This is what I feel.
Deepa, I wanted to ask you that can you help us understand that when a person is unhappy with his or her job, with his job, we are talking about men right now, and they're pushing themselves to do it because it is ticking boxes on certain social aspects, social expectations that is there. What does it actually do to their mind? And because of that, what does it do to their body? So while you first help us understand that, and then after that, Nitul, tell us with this plethora of industries, because industry is changing at the rate at which we are speaking. The number of the kind of skills that we need are all very new, but the number of choices are huge. Fallacies about everybody can do everything in the market. If a person is stuck, like how Colonel Srini spoke, and I know loads of my young friends who are stuck, help them understand what it means to do a job which actually nourishes you as a person and actually helps you not just retain your health, it actually helps you bloom. Help them understand
Absolutely.
that, then they will have
Sure.
the courage to make the switch. So first Deepa,
Sure.
you, and then Nitul, you. I just wanted to,
Yeah, thank you. This is more common than we know, and unfortunately, a lot of people, and I think this happens after someone, like I will give because examples help to illustrate a point. Someone comes to you and, in the counseling space and seeks help saying, I'm unhappy with my job and I don't know what's going on, but I feel like a misfit. Then you go finding out more and more. And the feeling of being a misfit is because you were good at something. Now, this is a typical paradox, okay? I was good at science or maths or something, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to study arts instead, for example. Or I was pushed because everybody said your marks are good, so please go ahead. And anyway, you can't make too much money with, you need to be in one of those well-known professions. So the person just moved and did it. And many times you ask them how they're feeling and what. So they say there's nothing like they're able to work and all that, but there is, as Colonel Srini said, there is no joy. There's no joy. I'm just doing it for the salary, is something I've heard so many times. And that is so sad because it's a precious life. Why would you go through day after day doing something that you do not want? And that creates an internal disconnect. There has to be a harmony. Like we say, we have to have a harmony in what we believe, how we think, and what we do. Now, what you believe is something completely different. Then what you think about a successful life is different, but what you do is completely at odds with that. So you're living with an internal inconsistency and internal disconnect, and sometime or the other it's going to show up because we cannot role play through our lives. We are going to have to be true to somewhere, someplace. So the role play gets tiring after a while. And then once you're pushed to a certain extent, then of course the question of what to do. This is going to create a huge disharmony, and this is the beginning of how do you say, mental issues coming up. I don't want to even call it an illness. So we have a variety of situations in the mental health space, but the most common here are depression, anxiety, anger issues, and stress. So it's very simple. Depression happens, and these are very typical. These are people who would typically come to ask if they need, to seek help for depression, or they say, I'm always anxious. Okay, very typically this happens. Now, depression is typically about feelings of sadness, meaninglessness, something which doesn't, not being interested in your world around you. And it starts with a deep sadness. Now, this can be with you for a very long time. And depression is usually about something that has already happened. When you go over and over a situation that you can't do anything about. And anxiety is about the future, because if you don't like something, you're not going to be able to put in your 100%, right? So either you're depressed, you're feeling going towards that, or you're always anxious. And people have anxiety attacks, then they become obsessive about things. So it's a swing between the past and the future, but you're not ever in the present, because the person is regretting what happened over and over, or the person is anxious about what will happen because they feel like imposters. Now, all this kind of disconnect, which is in your mind, of course, is going to have an effect on your body. Nothing, our bodies, our physical and mental aspects are not two different things. We cannot see the emotional mental part of us, but it's very much within the same system. And then this gives rise to many, many other situations, which I would like to say that most of the things that happen to people, whether they are mental health related or physical health related, it is known that 95% to 98% of all these illnesses and conditions are psychosomatic in nature. They start in your mind, and those feelings or those thoughts or those anxieties are not resolved. So they stay somewhere within your body, and whichever is your weakest part, they go and lodge themselves there. So you end up becoming sick, whether physically or mentally. And this is what pans out. And then you have a person saying things like, this whole term of thank God it's Friday, boss jokes, then always wanting to, I've heard of people, this long weekend is coming. What are you escaping from? Clearly, everybody's escaping from something. So it's a good job. You have a great position, and yet you are constantly wanting to escape, because that's what I see when I see people write their social media posts, even older people. So this is the scenario for you. And most people come with these situations when things have become very, very, have gone very far, and they're not able to. And of course, there is no reflection. So they have no idea, because nobody has told them this. It's a worrying state of affairs.
Very true, very nicely and succinctly put, Deepa, that everything starts in the mind. So all this rise of chronic disorders that we see, they are all a reflection of actually what's going wrong there. Nitul, over to you.
Yeah, so there are lots of things which come to my mind, but I think the key thing is the more I move away from my intrinsic talents, and the way, how do we define talent? Something which comes naturally to me, something which comes easy to me. Now that's how we define talents. And the more you move away from your talents, you will always struggle. Now we have, and the most funny part is, right from when I started my career, I kept hearing this phrase, you're not supposed to enjoy your work. Work is work. That's why it's called work. So you're not supposed to enjoy it. Just put your head down and get it done. And I never believed in it. I never accepted that, and I kept fighting it and resisting it, and I kept looking for roles where I would enjoy. And fortunately, and I paid a price for it. But in the end, I'm at a place where I'm actually loving what I'm doing. And I want to give a very classic example of Sachin Tendulkar, because everybody can relate to him. There's cricket all over. He was made a captain for some time, and he was miserable, and he failed. And the smart thing he did was he gave up that captain's cap, which everybody would, give their left or right arm for it. But he was a very smart guy. He was miserable. He's a fun character. He's a world-class batsman, but he's a fun character. But he doesn't want to take the burden of, thinking about each and everybody. So while if you look at Dhoni, Dhoni has a natural talent for strategic thinking. He's a cool captain. He's constantly thinking. So what Sachin hates, Dhoni excels in, and it comes naturally to him, because if you see his cool demeanor, and he was picked up at a young age, long hair, young guy from some village, but that's raw talent. I mean, you can't hide that talent, that cool strategic mind. So what is happening, Swapna, is people are not able to select roles which are aligned to their talents for two reasons. One, they have no idea what their talents are. There is no education around it. We don't even talk about it. When we talk about talents, we think, oh, it's art, it's painting, it's music. There is no idea. So Gallup developed this tool to identify your talents in normal language. I'll give you my example. My number one is called ideation. So I'm an ideas guy. I've always been an ideas guy. I still remember the inkpot, Camlin का inkpot था. मेरे को लगता था इसका design ऐसा है, थोड़ा ऐसा होना चाहिए. Now, I wish somebody would have counseled me. I would have ended up as a good product designer. So I'll give you, so what is happening is roles are, and if you look at Amitabh Bachchan, another classic case, the film industry is an industry which people love. I love films. But what is the role you will play in the film business? Will you be a director? Will you be a screenwriter? Will you produce films? Will you be a villain? Will you be an, hero? Will you be a comedian? These are roles. Now, everybody cannot become a producer. It needs a lot of arrangement, a lot of headaches. Are you up for it? So Mr. Bachchan tried everything and he failed at everything. And what saved him was his original talent of acting. And I remember Javed in an interview mentioning that, Bachchan is a very weak guy. He's physically always ill. But when he starts acting, he projects strength. That's his acting ability. When he picks up a gun, you really know he means business, even though he's physically sick. So he says he's a superb actor. And today, if you see, he must be the most busy actor in town. So what saved him is when he came back to his natural talents. So that's what people, and I say it's the missing piece in human performance. I'm going to be very bold. We are stuck because we have done some education and we have gotten some experience. I'm a CA and I've done 10 years of finance. I can't leave it. What should I do? I have no, and people will keep promoting me. Like there's this old Peter's principle. You will keep getting promoted to your level of incompetence. So they'll make you a manager, they'll make you a CEO, and you're going to start failing and you will have heavy stress. So people need to find out, one, their talents, what they'll enjoy doing, and then start finding roles which give them the opportunity to use their talents. It's as simple as that. I mean, easier said than done, because first you need to find your talents. And that's the game. And I think all organizations now are adopting this strengths-based lens. So there was this whole world of weaknesses, and the entire training calendar, the whole performance appraisal was all about gaps. But they have found that it has failed, it has not succeeded. So now everybody is talking about the strengths of an individual. And hopefully now people will also marry love and work. Because when you start loving, when love and work come together, that's when world-class performance happens. That's what research has shown, that people who love what they do and do what they love, they excel. And all the parameters which Deepa talked about, whether it's anxiety, depression, well-being, safety, accidents, creativity, all metrics improve. Gallup research shows, if an individual is engaging his talents. And you don't need to have an ideal job where everything is great and you love everything about your job. No, Mayo Clinic has done research. 20% of the day, if your talents are engaged, you are safe.
I think you've made your point on talent abundantly and very forcefully. You've made your point with the examples of Amitabh Bachchan and Sachin Tendulkar and Dhoni, that all of us needn't be cut out of the same cookie cutter, come out and do the same things and try to become the same, or these days, the startup unicorn, because every young guy that I speak to wants to become that one person. Probably getting rich is something everybody can, but only if you use your own talents and not just copy others. So it's possible. You might have to wait a little, but it's so. Yes, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, just like to add that piece there. Beautifully said. So the outcome we can all have the same goals, but the route to those goals is going to be different for each one of us.
Yeah, very true. So I would want to bring Deepa and Kanshini on this one. Both of you regularly counsel people. Deepa, you counsel people for emotional well-being, and Kanl, you counsel people for their careers. How many times have you, and I know that because I speak to you very often, how many times do you see success with people when you ask them to take the hard step towards their probable final destination of career well-being and emotional well-being? I want you to talk about how you have failed to influence people because of people's attitudes to window shop advice, depend on technology where specialists should be relied upon. And I think it's important for you to talk about those failures so that those who are listening to us find themselves in those stories and know that they need to do something differently. So whoever want to, Deepa, you would want to go ahead because you have immense number of people. You always keep saying that only 10% of my counseling clients come to the end of the counseling where
The
others
conclusion.
just disappear. Others just disappear.
Yes. I think it's a very good question because these are the hard things nobody talks about. Okay. And when we study counseling, and of course, all of us, when we go into our professions with good faith, one of the things we want to do is whatever is well begun, you want to end it well. But one thing, and this is a secret I would like to share with everyone, and no one can disagree with me, that people come to the counselor in good faith. They start off well. Somewhere in between, something happens. There's a rare person who will continue the entire arc, and we can terminate a case, as what we call, which would actually be the most wonderful thing. So I keep telling my students and my young professionals who come to me for advice that don't worry. A lot of people do shopping. Okay. By shopping, I mean going to various places and trying to hear what they want to hear. Many times when you go to a counselor, the counselor is just helping you unravel your life and make sense of whatever has happened. Okay, whatever that is happening. And that's fine once that happens, because the stereotype is only about talking and the counselor doesn't speak. It's not like that. Basically, the whole story has to be got. And then once you know the background, then you can chart the front, whatever comes ahead. Now, what happens is that after a point of time, the counselor is just a facilitator. The facilitator is going to show you the way. Okay, I'm going to, as a facilitator, I'll show you the map, I'll give you the map, I'll tell you the details of how to take this journey, what are the pitfalls, but you have to take the journey yourself. We can create, nowadays there's so much available. You can create roadmaps, you can create mental maps, you can create, you can have your plans and your planners, but you have to follow it through. And the following through of something has to be done by the client or the person seeking counseling. Okay, that's where I feel the problem many times occurs, is that now connecting it with what you asked me, that these are your issues, that along with the facilitator who's the counselor, you've got an idea about what your problems are, how to go ahead, but to see it through is something only that person can do. And if you continue to see it through, because many times it requires a leap of faith and we change because you can't do the same things and get another result. You have to make that change, and that big curve once you take, then then you're through and you're on your way. But this is where many times, whether it is related to emotional issues or family issues or interpersonal issues, you have to take that step. And many times people are seen to falter there, and then they say, oh, this wasn't good enough, I think I need to, either they move off or they seek somebody else, and then the whole cycle goes again. So this is the concern, because when you're seeking help, know that you have to be proactive. And once the facilitator helps you, and the roadmap is, you have to walk the path and stay on track.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. So, Kanishrini, before you respond, I would also I'll request you to talk about one more thing which just came to my mind. It's like, I think something Nitul had said earlier, that when we are swiping Instagram reels, as long as we don't agree with the reel, we never watch it. We'll only stop at where we really agree with the person, whatever they are telling us. So we are actually learning to build an echo chamber around us, and we're not willing to hear anything which is different. So tell us how it is so important to take, through your experience, to take agency of your own life, and at times make hard decisions. One, to stick to something, and second, also seek advice from specialists and not get swerved by these hordes of influencers who are coming giving you 3 hacks to fixing life, because there isn't any hack in life. So both the things.
Yeah. So I'll take the first part. Thanks to Deepa. She talked about a map. The moment a Fauji is told about a map, you suddenly feel he's. Yes, happens with me in career counseling. I'm reminded of Three Idiots. Mera beta engineer banega. The kid is in the cradle, right? This is how we choose careers. I feel bad for parents who have already made decisions. As a career counselor, my job is to point out the direction, the speed, and whether the person wants to walk that path at all has to be left to them. But the direction is, but most people are more interested in speed than direction. So they go fast in a direction which is not theirs. And somewhere down there, they realize that they are in some other place because they've not. The other thing is about people wanting huge lights which can show them their destination also. Kya hamara bachcha, will he be successful there? How do I know whether your child will be successful? He's in 9th class today, whether he'll be a successful AI or, a chartered accountant, let us say what Nitul said. No, I said I can provide you with headlights. Those 200, 300 meters that you have to traverse now, you go along. As you go along, the headlights will help you with the next kind of path. This is how they need to see. Unfortunately, most parents are carried away by what you said about those, which I think because our talks, I also probably spoke about it earlier. The thing is that with this world, which is so connected, and I only want to hear. You see our conversations at home. Most of the time, why do we disagree with someone? Is because I want to hear only what I want to hear. So the moment they feel, it's happened with me. So you asked me about a failure, right? Not one. I felt that the particular child was an extremely creative child, should be moving into humanities after 10th, should go in for design or something creative, is how the whole assessment did. But the parents said, nahi, nahi, but can they do after 12th class if they take up science in 11th, 12th? I said, yeah, but why do you want to put the child through science for 2 more years where they are stressed with maths and physics when they can work on certain other things? You have that combination. No, no. Suppose they get that interest in the next 2 years. I said, I don't know, but this is what I'm seeing from the assessment. And in the end, though I had given very clear things that the child should go for humanities, they took up science, but it didn't finish with PCM. They added PCMB so that the child could try engineering also, could try medicine also, neat. Obviously, the child did not pass both of them. I felt bad for the child, right? But this is how we are seeing careers from the very beginning. Now, the only thing which I am feeling for the professionals who are coming to me is something which I read a few days back on Charles Handy's second curve. Are we okay? We have taken the wrong step. We have gone along the wrong path for some time, and we are feeling not too good. Are we in a position to change? Most of us are not. I understand financial stability, as I told you. But are we getting to prepare for the change? Are we learning new skills? Are we remaining relevant in this particular thing? Or are we continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results, the way Deepa said, right? So preparation for any change, and then find out what will keep you happy instead of leading a life of misery and stress for the next 20 more years till you retire. And then say, yaar, puri zindagi mein maza nahi aaya kaam karke. I've had this one last word because I used to think when I joined the army, I went because everyone went. Honest to God, a friend went, so I went into the army. But was I really suited for it? Probably not. It is not just the physical thing. There's so many. I'm a person who asks too many questions, and army is not interested in people asking. Rightly, you can't ask why should I climb up Tiger Hill when bullets are coming down. No, you want a guy who says chalo, literally, correct. When I did my own assessment for my own career later, I found HR and career counseling as standing away from armed forces. I wish somebody had done that 25 years back so that I would have taken this up much earlier, right? So I think it is very important for us to choose the right line from the very beginning. Go to the right people instead of going to a bazaar to check bazaar, Google bazaar. Okay, what all are the best carriers which pay best, not what suits me best, right? And then once we choose, we will be happy. Once we are happy, we do well. Once we do well, we know, we have a sense of self-esteem, lot of self-confidence, motivation. At that time, all the other environmental factors which come, no, you start getting insulated. If you're not feeling, accepted in that place, you say, I am qualified enough to move to some other place and move, instead of burying yourself under that stress and reaching a stage where you're helpless. And that is the saddest part we should never reach, is what I feel. Yeah.
Very true. So while, as you were saying, both of you mentioned maps, I just remembered that, conversation between the Cheshire Cat and Alice in Alice in Wonderland, where you remember that the cat, Alice asks the cat which is the way, and he says that, where do you want to go? And she says, I don't know. So he says that anyway is fine then. So
Yeah.
if in case the final destination of life is actually happiness, because that's what everywhere it is. If the final destination is happiness, then we have to follow the path which takes us to happiness. Because we might be the most miserable rich person in the world, and we don't want to die a miserable rich person. And I think that that's what this whole conversation is all about. Your livelihood is a fact. It's a reality of life. You have to all choose it, and we choose livelihoods which can sustain us and actually keep us joyous and happy. And as Nitul says that only 20% times also, if we are using our talents, there is the insurance is there that we will be happy. We're in a safe place. So it is not that life is all exciting always. 20% times also, if you're clued in doing what we are doing, the rest of the routine work then doesn't bother us. So I think that we've driven home the point well. I would ask all of you just to give your closing comments from the spaces where you are standing, to tell us about the work that one does and its connection with happiness, because that's the ultimate destination of mental health. Nitul, we'll start with you.
Yeah. If you are stressed out, if you're unhappy, and if you're listening to this session, I think I would ask you to start becoming curious about what excites you. That is the fundamental piece which you need to keep finding out. And while you're working, keep looking for that. Am I enjoying making presentations? Do I enjoy doing reading? Do I love talking to my customers or strangers? These are clues to talent. And you don't need an assessment. You keep observing yourself. Where is the joy flowing? Where are you naturally at your best, better than other people? Where are the places where people appreciate your work and say, wow, how did you do that? Those are the clues to talent. And then learn more around that. You don't need to do 10,000 other courses, but you do courses around what excites you. And you will notice that that's the safest and the surest compass to happiness in life.
Wow.
Very well said. Very well said, Nitul.
Beautiful.
Become curious. Beautifully stated. Yes.
I
Kanishini.
believe, I would just, Nitul said it so well. We all have the same 24 hours, Swapna. What we do with that 24 hours is what makes all the difference. Are we doing something which keeps us so enthused? Instead of thinking that I work for 16 hours a day and then I have to be also binge on the and then binge in the weekend also. Everything is binging. No, I think, you need to find out how to build resilience, how to stretch yourself, make yourself strong enough to take on the various stresses of life in itself. That is the first thing which I feel, that in addition to not only doing joyous things, but everything is not going to be joy all the time, right? So how do you build? So generally, physical fitness automatically helps you build mental strength. So these two need to be a thing which people need to. Secondly, I think becoming nuclear is taking us away from the best safety net in our life, which is our family. Okay, family and friends. Actually, the more, we don't want to make new friends and things like that. I think that is very important. Seeking support from family, friends, and other things, and seeking help at the right time instead of waiting till the time nobody can help you. That is the and finally, what as a career counselor, I feel that keep yourself relevant. Relevance is not just what is the latest in the market. No, relevance is something by which what you do, you can do the best, which others can't do. So they will still need you, instead of becoming indispensable and or irreplaceable, I would say, and everyone keeps you there. They don't replace you. They keep giving you the same job because you're irreplaceable and you stay there. Become indispensable. इसको कुछ भी दे दो, ये कुछ भी कर सकता है. Make yourself like that. कि okay, you can move him into a new project and he will still deliver great results. It will keep, and that will show in the way people look at you at work, and that will bring down a lot of stress, because sometimes
Yeah. So I'll marry both of what you and Nitul said. That Nitul said everybody has special talents. I think we need to become curious, know what we are good at, and keep on taking opportunities which are different kinds to build on that talent so that we become the best that we are. Because you said that when we are happy doing our jobs, that gives us that energy to deal with the other bits in life which are non-negotiable and something which are constraints. I mean, you can't. If you have a neighbor who's cantankerous and you don't have another house to buy, you have to deal with the neighbor. So probably if we are satisfied, content with the jobs that we do, feel that we have contributed, will give us that energy to deal with all these, possibly negativities in our life, which we can't actually deal with otherwise. I mean, there are constraints in our life. And that is what resilience is all about, that you pushed and you again find your way up over there. So very well said that. And I loved marrying both of what you said, because I think as you said, Kanishini, that isko jo bhi de do ye kar le. So also learn to say no to jobs which you innately don't think you will enjoy. So pick up only those things which you think which will work on yourself, right? Very true. Very, very true. Yeah, Deepa, your closing comments on after having heard about what it takes to.
Such a delight to hear, because now the road seems so clear. All I would like to say is come back to yourself. Many times, all the disconnects, anger, hurt, fear, sadness is because we are disconnected from ourselves. And as Kanishini said very rightly, and Nitilji said also, that whatever is out there is only a reflection of what you are. So first, learn to listen to yourself. Many of us, most of us, in fact, and this is something we do not teach children. We do not teach, and I know many adults who don't do it. Listen to yourself. Sit quietly with yourself sometimes without any gadget to bother you. And this is what is called mindfulness, probably, or in their fancier names. Sit with yourself. Ask yourself, what is it that you want? What is it that you like? Okay, away from, and the answers are there. We just have drowned them out. Listen to other people. Many times we don't listen deeply. Okay, somebody's saying something. Their words may not mean anything. Maybe they're actually showing concern. So instead of taking somebody for their word value, take what they mean. Many times, most people around us are not our enemies. They mean well. They may not have put it the right way. Okay, so listen to others. And then, of course, the next thing after listening, and this is first, then speak. Because many, many lives can be saved by speaking up. You know, many years later, parents come to you and tell you that we had no idea that the child did not like this. We only did what was best for the child. Speak up. That your parents love you. You're not surrounded by enemies. You know, sometimes we need to make a case for ourselves. If we listen to ourselves, we'll be able to speak and let others speak also. Because, you know, the idea is a harmonious world. And a harmonious world cannot be created outside of you. So anything related to mental health will ultimately end there. Listen to yourself, listen to others, speak to yourself. Okay, even if it's words of encouragement every day, and let others speak. And I think that should kind of do it. This is directly speaking and in a nutshell. And for people, and since this is about men's mental health, and it's a problem bigger than what we are able to handle. For everyone who's significant others are men, all of us have them. You know, they're your husbands, they're your sons, they're your friends, they're your, children, whoever they are. So
Colleagues.
Colleagues,
No.
bosses, be there, okay, stay connected. Many times people are isolated in their jobs. Nobody's there to listen to them. Stay connected with them. Build up, you be a safe space for the significant person in your life. Many times men have no one to talk. That's why they're calling helplines, okay? Maybe they need to talk to someone. Maybe you're that someone who's never noticed because they have projected this this entire strength to you, which even, the most strong person also needs to be heard. You cannot pour from an empty jug. Maybe the jug is empty. Okay, maybe the boss also needs to talk to someone. Maybe the father also needs a listening ear. And don't be afraid to seek help. Seeking help is a sign of strength. So encourage the person. And if people are listening in who are grappling with mental health issues, get out there and seek help. Your life is very precious. And whatever it takes, seek it. Yeah, and it will come to you. Don't stay with the sadness or the confusion of the road. That is what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it has been a very, very rich discussion. And those people who would listen in would definitely get some cues as to make their lives better and not resign to the fact that work has to be, as Nitul says, something which is unpleasant, which has to be dealt with and has to be run away from. That every Friday you're looking for a TGIF, thank God it's Friday, and every Saturday, Sunday you're looking for vacations to recover from what you think you've lost energy at your job. And as Nitul said, become curious. It's never too late. And as Colonel Srini and Deepa said, when you get advice from people who are your well-wishers, they could be from your family and friends, they could be from professionals, please have the perseverance to carry through, because you will get through this to a place which is happier. Jobs can be happier. Jobs can be a source of joy and fulfillment. And they can be the reason why you are able to, deal with everything else in life. It should not be that you need to have a very great family life so that you're able to deal with a job which is toxic. I'm saying you can have a job which is so fulfilling, which is so nourishing, that it actually gives you all the energy to go back and deal with, families and society and everything in general. So thank you so much for listening. And to those of you who are listening, if you are curious, you get in touch with Nitul Oja. If in case you want direction in your career, get in touch with Colonel Srini. If you want anything to do with your mental health and you seek help, please get in touch with Deepa. You DM to us. And this is not, we are not selling our services. This is all for saying that there are professionals and services available for you to avail so that you can make your lives happy and better and joyous. So thank you so much for listening in, and thank you so much to all my panel members to have come in, and we'll see you another couple of months later with another thing on our agenda to deal with men's mental health. Thank you so much, and namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you and namaste.